Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. It's a pleasure to be back with you. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. And first, let's do some housekeeping. Many of you have been asking, how do I avail myself of these episodes? Very simple. Go on YouTube. Click on A Time for Truth show, A Time for Truth show. Hit the subscribe button and you'll be availed of all the previous episodes. There's no fee, there's no charge. And we would love you having support, truth in our world. We welcome you. And tonight, we're going to talk about something that we've been experiencing globally and we've all been feeling. A sense of insecurity, a sense of a mild anxiety, a lack of vision of the future or what the future will be. What's going to happen? How can we take care of our families? How can we assure that our kids, our grandkids, in my case, are going to have a good future? And so tonight's show is going to deal with those economic uncertainties with a very expert opinion leader. We're very lucky to have an engineer. If we can, let's put his pictures up on the screen as we introduce Mr. Bruce Wiseman. There you go. A human rights activist, successful entrepreneur, #1 best-selling, international award-winning author, writing under the pen name John Truman Wolfe. His book exposing the real forces behind the global financial crisis, the coming financial crisis, which we could say is here now, a look behind the wizard's curtain. This became a #1 Amazon bestseller. And many of us probably say we should have read this when he came out with it and when Bruce published it years ago. He talked about bail-in procedures by big banks, bailing procedures enabling failing banks to confiscate funds in their depositors' accounts and convert them to bank stock. Mr. Wiseman has spoken to bankers and business executives around the world on the agenda of what he calls the global financial mafia, and has provided solutions to deal with their predatory programs. Having read of his solutions, amazingly, the Chinese government flew him to Beijing to consult with them on the causes and solutions to the global financial crisis. Amazing, acknowledgement and recognition of who Mr. Wiseman is. He calls his trip to China fascinating in the extreme. He's also the editor and publisher of Strategic Financial Intelligence, a monthly financial newsletter dealing with investing and the economy. and with precious metals, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs. He has consulted the business and financial affairs of some of the biggest names and opinion leaders and movers and shakers in Hollywood. And if we will, Buddha, let's bid a warm welcome and bring him up live on the screen to Mr. Bruce Wiseman. Welcome, Bruce.
Hi, Dr. Ben. Thanks for the super kind words. Nice to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you. And, we have a lot to cover. I want to get right to it. And, to me, it's astounding how many positions of confidence at a high level you've held. And I want to get from you, what do you see or your plans coming up in the next few years with all that's going on economically and with someone of your stature?
Well, needless to say, there's a great deal going on. Certainly with the introduction of these tariffs, there's a lot of hullabaloo. I think this will settle down. I think on that point, simply because I brought it up, I think this will settle down, and I think it will ultimately be good for the country. But what I started to talk about, Dr. Ben, is an important piece of information, meaning that we are in the midst of a global currency revolution. Cash is going away, Dr. Ben. I don't have the exact date that it'll disappear, but it's going away. And 86% of the central banks on the planet are in the process of converting bank accounts to what are called CBDC, central bank digital currencies. In other words, no cash, just digital currencies in your bank account. And that has been coming globally for a few years. China is way out in front on this. I don't like the idea of digital currencies, but if China is going to, if digital currencies are coming, and they are, trust me, they're coming, then I at least want the dollar to be on the forefront and not be the effect of the Chinese Communist Party.
Wow. You know what? You're bringing out a point that I don't think many people even have realized. I haven't seen this on the screen or on the radar anywhere. But one thing I wanted to ask you, because when you hit me with this figure, and probably a lot of the viewers also, you're saying 86% of the world banks already have gone this route? Or
they're in the process. They're in different stages. Most countries in the world have central banks. Ours, as most people know, is called the Federal Reserve Bank, but there's the Bank of Canada, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of Italy. They all have central banks, which control the country's economy in one way or another. And 86% of those central banks are in some stage of moving forward on digital currencies for the depositors in their nation.
Very interesting. I want to ask you something, because I sometimes get confused. So these digital currencies, they're still going to allow Bitcoin and all these other forms of digital, or they're going to replace those by regulation?
That's a really key question, and most people don't understand the difference. There are two channels down which digital currencies are going. There are what are called decentralized digital currencies, which is why Bitcoin was originally founded. There's no government regulation, there's no banking regulation, and so you have people trading these things on a regular basis. Bitcoin, Ethereum, those are decentralized, not controlled digital currencies. The other channel, Dr. Ben, is the one I was talking about, and that is central bank digital currencies. These are central currencies. These are digital currencies issued by central banks of government. So on the one hand, you've got government-controlled digital currencies. On the other, you've got decentralized, uncontrolled digital currencies. Two different avenues down which digital currencies are traveling right now.
Amazing. Well, you know what? There's so much to cover, but I want to go a step at a time because probably a lot of the viewers out there have been hit by this stock market change. And I wanted to ask you something because I wanted you to explain it to me. Because I've always been told by financial advisors to stay calm, not react, and not get emotional. So I wanted to bring out a figure and say the Dow Jones was at 25,000 in 2020 before COVID. And now after COVID, it's at 38,000 after it had this $2,000 or $3,000 point drop, I'm sorry. So one thing I'm a little confused about is if we're up from 25 still to 38 after COVID, and yet we've been counseled by the gurus to stay calm, but then why do the same gurus or whoever it is then cry so loudly at this downturn if it's actually 18,000 points higher than 4 years ago? Explain that to me. I'm at a total loss, and I want our viewers to see this, and hopefully this show will go viral so people will see and get from an expert who you are. So please answer that question.
That's a good question, Dr. Ben. Well, since the 25,000 figure on the Dow that you talked about, slowly the Dow Jones has continued up and up and up. It got up, I think, as high as 45,000 and change, chasing 50,000. And then you have this rather dramatic drop in the last 3 days. My opinion is, and I don't want to echo what all your other financial advisors say, but I would not run for the hills here. I think this is a temporary setback. I think Trump, love him or hate him, is certain enough about what he's doing economically that it creates a great deal of change. I think change scares people, Dr. Ben, and so they bail. I would put my name on it, and I'm doing so on your show. The Dow Jones will be back. This tariff program will make them, looking down the road a little bit, will make America stronger economically. The current administration is cutting a great deal of waste. I think this administration may even balance the budget. So my view, although it's shaky times, my view is that the economy looks good looking down the road into the future, Dr. Ben.
Well, that's great to hear, and I'm happy to hear from someone like you because you really tell it as it is. Then I wanted to ask you another question that I want to bring out because I looked at this, and to me, if I was someone who held a lot of power and I wanted to be able to make a lot of money on my investments, probably what I would do is try to create the right public relations so I could get my investment at a low price and have everyone dump their investment from fear. So my question is this: is it possible, and I'm asking you because you wrote that book and you're an expert financially globally, is it possible that these panic situations and crises that are, I don't know, everything I saw on my Facebook, on my YouTube, was about some other guru speaking. So what I was going to ask you, just like during COVID, when we had all the people saying the same thing in like 15 different channels, and I looked at it, I go, wow. And I'm sure everybody in the audience saw those videos where they repeated the same message in 20 different stations. So the question then, to get to the question, is it possible that major institutions or major players actually make their returns by creating these collapses and panic attacks and then come back and grab the money so that the average return on the Dow, if you stay in, and you can stay in, goes up, but that the majority of people can't or are too fearful, and then they lose, and then they take they take what's there. Is that something, am I out left field, or is that something that's possible?
No, it's absolutely possible. I think the real information will come out down the road a little bit. That process that you're talking about, Dr. Ben, is called short selling. So, people who want to crash a financial market will sell it, not buy it, they'll sell it. George Soros crashed the British pound some years ago by short selling the pound, and putting more pounds on the market than there were buyers. So the value went down. He made billions. Is he involved, or people like him involved in this current shakeout? I would not be surprised. I don't have any hard data as we sit here talking that that's the case, but your thought is not out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. Quite possibly.
Okay, and you know what? That brings me to the next question I have, and comment leading to the question. Most of the people who watch my program know that although I'm a surgeon of 44 years, I donate a lot of my time trying to help the community because I care about our families, our kids, and I'm so concerned about all the drug ravages from illicit drugs. Actually, in my dental profession, I've been recognized, and I just recently spoke in San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles Dental Society. I was invited now to South America to speak on illicit drugs, on the combinations of psychotropics and illicit drugs and the harm that they're causing. And to me, what I was going to ask you is, what do you think, as the viewers are watching this show, is that they realize that one of the things they can do to make a better economy for themselves is they start going on their community and they find somebody who's of different nationality than them, who's different religion than them, who's a different color than them, and they start allying each other like we do in networking in business, like I do as a surgeon, getting my general dentist to refer. Maybe we can apply that philosophy out in the community, and we start allying our neighbors, especially if they're different than us. What do you think of that wild idea?
Well, my first response is this. You're just doing magnificent work, Dr. Ben. I know you didn't make that introduction to get that feedback from me, but the magnificent work you're doing, helping to keep our children in particular off drugs, is life-saving, and God bless you for that.
Thank
you. The follow-up is, of course, allying your friends and neighbors, regardless of race, color, creed, etc., is a right thing to do. It's a compassionate thing to do, and it's a smart thing to do, because when communities or states or governments or nations are working as a team, the economy naturally prospers. So it's a wonderful point of view, and it's an economically beneficial point of view.
Well, the reason I thought about it is you and I were talking about the conference that I'm hosting, which is called the Global, inadequately, appropriately enough, Time for Truth, the Global Time for Truth United Nations Conference, May 16th. It's at 10 a.m. in Conference Room 8. And I'm inviting a lot of global leaders of all different types of sectors and businesses and religions and human rights and nutrition and health. I'm trying to see if I can get, our Secretary Kennedy, who's a great man, who's been doing so much. Hopefully he watches this show and he'll decide to take a little bit of time. To me, it seems to me that to get the UN goal, which is a sustainable cities and communities. One of the, I think there's 16 or 18 United Nations sustainable goals that we have: education, to eliminate hunger, to educate, to have, proper economy, environment. What do you feel you would like to see? I mean, I would love to have you there if you can. I don't know if I can pull you out of your beautiful mountain resort where you are there. I can't blame you for not. But if it wasn't you, what would you like to see come out economically at this United Nations conference on May 16th?
Well, it's a really good question. I mean, money is being manipulated planetarily as we speak. And as I said a bit earlier, we're in the middle of a currency revolution globally with senior bankers on the planet, Dr. Ben, seeking to convert money, fiat money, to digits so that they can control. Somebody walks into the store and orders a 6-pack of beer and gets back and gives them the clerk the card and gets back a note and goes, "No, that's the second 6-pack this month. You can't have it." While that sounds a little bit bizarre and out of the question, this is coming. There is an effort by senior banking organizations on planet Earth to achieve digital currency for the planet so that they can control. This is going on as we speak. So at your conference, raising awareness of this and the damages that digital currency can do is something that I think any speaker should alert leaders to, because there are cases, Dr. Ben, where people simply can't confront the evil of this. But I'm telling you, this is coming. This is being controlled by the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. I've written on that in that book and elsewhere. So to answer your question again, that's a very important aspect of what's going on globally, financially. And to his credit, and I'm not getting political here, but to his credit, President Trump has stopped the implementation of digital currencies in the United States. So that at least gives us 4 years of breathing room. China's way out there, Dr. Ben. China's got hundreds of millions of people that are paid in digital currencies, and they shop in digital currencies as we speak. So we've got a little bit of breathing room here, and I think that's, from my perspective, that's an important message for your conference.
Absolutely. And also for the viewers watching this, definitely want to bring that at the conference. Very interesting, because as President Trump then is trying to do this for the country, it's amazing how he's being attacked. But now if we take the economic panic that's being created, it almost makes me look at it and say, whoa, well, is there a correlation? And, is it that when, I know something I've learned that I used to joke about or, not really take seriously, but people who would try to do things in the community said, "You're going to do that? Oh my God, are you going to be in for a handful?" And I didn't really believe them. I was kind of innocent and thought everybody would be happy. And it's amazing the things that have occurred as I try to do something positive, and not for me, but for the community. And all of the stops and barriers that you brought out that occurred, I want to share that with the viewers. And then I want to get to the next question, because there's so much I want to cover, but my Lord, let's try. I was curious, and I was reading about this. If the Federal Reserve actually would do what President Trump said and decrease the interest, because we have about a $36 trillion deficit, which is astounding. I can't imagine how we can do well with all that debt that we have and that philosophy of debt. It seems like we have to do something to change that habit. So, but it's interesting, because I was reading that he may have done some of what he's done deliberately to bring interest down. so that when the interest rate comes down, people can buy homes again at a lower mortgage rate. People can pay possibly their credit card bill down because of a lower credit card debt. And what do you feel about this, Bruce?
Well, needless to say, lower interest rates are a benefit to the economy. As you note, they'll help people to be able to buy homes again. The residential real estate market has been stuck here now for, 18 months or so. I'll tell you, let me just answer you by bringing in a new element. And that is the most positive thing that could be done by this government, or any government, but this government's talking about it, is to eliminate the Internal Revenue Service. And President Trump has said that he is going to try to eliminate the IRS and the income tax and replace it with income from these tariffs or maybe even a consumption tax that would boom the country economically. The elimination of the personal and corporate income tax and to replace it with tariff income, I think, is one of the most beneficial things that could happen to this country in its entire history. And it's on the table. The president has talked about it. His Secretary of Treasury has talked about it. So it's a possibility. And a good friend of ours, and I'm saying ours, I'm kind of assuming you may know Steve Hayes, a friend down in Clearwater, is an attorney, and he is the head of fairtax.org, which is an organization seeking to eliminate the IRS and replace that income with the consumption tax, which I think would be hugely beneficial for the country.
That's so interesting. I had no clue about what you were talking about. I'm so happy that you brought that out on the program. I don't know how many of our viewers realize this, but my God, I would think just from that lifting that burden off of people,
yes,
and lifting also probably some people who maybe don't do things necessarily 100%, lifting that guilt feeling off of those people, that tremendous that flow that would come out. You're right. I could just see a tremendous booming of economy, of businesses. It also, I think, something very interesting, would allow small businesses to come back. COVID destroyed so many small businesses. The mom and pop hardware store, the small restaurant. It'd be nice to have those come back, because to me, America is a symbol. We're coming to the end of the show, and I've had such a good time with you. I know the viewers probably love you. They're probably chanting to have you at the United Nations now. I think they're going to be around the building seeing if they can get you to come, and they're going to be holding placards, Wiseman for the UN.
Dr. Ben, let me make a quick, since we're coming to the end of the show, quick recommendation to your viewers looking down the road at what could be helpful. I recommend to folks buy some precious metals. If you don't have any, buy some gold and silver. I would also recommend buying a bit of Bitcoin, a little or a lot. So these are two investment categories that I think will be helpful to people in the future. Precious metals and cryptocurrency to be a part of your reserves. I think that would be a smart move for folks. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out.
No, I appreciate that, because I think that's a great point to end on. And I think probably the viewers love what you are saying and would want to have a show of your philosophy on how to move forward, maybe a little bit more about what's actually happening, because I see you're so well versed. If we could do that, would you come back again?
Of course. I'd be delighted, Dr. Ben.
Well, you know what? I'm sure our viewers have had a great time. I tell you what, you got me much more upbeat. I have a little more hope. All this panicking and whatever was really getting to me too. So I'm very happy that you were on the show tonight.
Thanks so much for having me. And you have my best wishes for your UN event, and again, I thank you so much for your dedication to, from my view, to our children, and helping to expose the dangers and damages of drugs. So God bless you.
Well, God bless you. And I want to do one last thing. What is your email in case anyone wants to reach out to you?
It's Bruce at brucewiseman.net. Bruce at brucewiseman.net. Wiseman is Wiseman, wise man.
Thank you so much. And for those of you watching, I know you've enjoyed the show like I have. And we'll see you on the next episode of A Time for Truth show. Have a very good night.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet